time during work hours. So I'll sit and do some work. Oops. Oh, we are live.
Yeah.
I'm going to share also.
Actually, I'm looking forward to the Adam and Eve's jam on the 13th.
Thank you so much for that feedback about the time. It really helped us sort of reconsider. And I mean, Kavya had mentioned, because she's doing a global project, and she said, 3:30 to 4:30 is a good time for most places. But then we had already done the poster, everything, so it was already out. We couldn't change, but we were like, okay, from next time, it's going to be more sort of accessible.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited. I can't wait. It's a very totally doable time, and obviously, and but yeah, super good fun. I love your jams, and I love playing with the Adam and Eves. It's so cool.
Yes, it's usually, it's going to be fun. I'm not going to tell you. It's mostly like a lot of group games and some like breakout room games with smaller groups. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I really enjoy coming to Boss Birds jams also.
Yeah.
So we're just like bunch of ladies wanting to play, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it? It is just a really nice space, nice environment. Awesome. So I'm just pressing my random word generator. I think we're live, and do you want to introduce yourself to the world, Lakshmi?
Sure. I am Lakshmi Priya. Lakshmi Priya was my given name. I go by Lakshmi now. I don't know quite why. Okay, that's something to think about later. I do improv with the Adam and Eves and Improv Comedy Bangalore. And I do playback theatre with City Lamps. These are the two kinds of theatre I do. They're spontaneous in nature. I met Emma, I think, on one of Jay Sukhov's video comments, I think first. And then David Escobedo put us in touch. And that was so wonderful. Thank you, David. And I'm so glad to be here. And we were just talking before this that we have occupied many internet spaces together, but somehow we have not ended up in the same breakout room or like doing a scene together. So this is quite exciting.
Yeah. All right. It's really exciting. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to press my random word generator and we'll get a word.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the first word I saw was negligence. Negligence.
Okay.
So I'll put the timer on as well. And we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to splash that over you, the soup.
It's all right. It's quite nice that you made mint soup. I get it. You were so enthusiastic. You just dropped a couple of bread crumbs, which were not really crumbs. They were like whole big pieces of roasted.
I'm so sorry. I wanted it to be like a really nice day. You know, we don't spend much time together, so I wanted to make us a nice lunch, and
I know.
And now I've just spilt it all over you.
It's all right. I'll take a bath. It's okay. It's okay. Ruth.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we're getting to have a lunch. It's been so long since we have had our shifts meet. Yeah. Living with you has been one of the more precious gifts, even though it means some soup on me sometimes. It's so kind.
Thank you. No, I mean, I appreciate. I mean, I love everything that we do together, living together, working together. Sometimes I like, I just wish that I could be a little bit more competent. I feel like you kind of have a grip on the world, like, and I feel like I'm just a clumsy I mean, not only just, you know, spilling soup on you, but like, I'm forever.
That's okay.
I'm forever losing my house keys, and you have to bail me out all the time. I'm forever smashing light bulbs, and you fix it for me. So I just feel a little bit like clumsy, negligent, kind of, you know. Sorry.
But Ruth, that has become our game now, right? Like that's what we do. I mean, I'm here and I can bail you out till I can. Which brings me to something I need to tell you, and I thought this lunchtime would be a great time.
Okay.
Let you know.
Yeah.
Suraj and I, it's going really well, and we are, we went for a walk. I told you about the resort walk that we went to.
Yeah.
He asked me if I want to move in with him.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh no, seriously, like, congratulations. That's great. I'm trying to separate out how delighted I am for you, and how sad I am that I don't really want you to move out.
Yeah, I was wondering how this would be. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to consider the soup that fell on me as an anticipatory vengeance for me dropping this news on you, even though you didn't know it yet. So I for real considered that I would ask Suraj if I could take you along. I mean, I know it's not conventional, but then when he was looking at me near the lavender fields, I just could not ask him that.
No, it wouldn't be appropriate. It's not right. It's fine. Like, you can't like start the next phase of your life together and have Ruth just knocking about. It's just like, I don't belong in. It's your life, and I'll just have to. It's all right. I'll just find. I'll never find anyone as good as you to live with, but I'll just find someone else. Hopefully, someone who's as practical and competent as you.
So on that note, I sent you some documents of some people I've already shortlisted for possibly moving in instead of me, and I have created a couple of variables. I know how important it is for you about where they drop their towel, so there is that. Then about the toilet seat truth of it. Then very importantly, which cheese do they prefer? I have made a variable of that. I mean, they were a little weirded out when I asked them that. But I just said it's a random, matching thing. So they didn't mind after a while. And lastly, I asked them, how likely are they to be kind to a person who forgets their keys sometimes?
And breaks things and trips over things and smashes windows when I trip over the rug and head first into the window.
But also makes most of the lunches that we have had together.
Yeah, I make lunches and then I spill them over people. I'm really touched that you have been so organized. Like, I can't believe you've created spreadsheets and variables. And I mean, this is amazing. Thank you for helping me.
It's okay.
I don't know whether that's like, maybe I should just go out. Maybe I should just do this on my own. I know that you've helped to set up the spreadsheet, but maybe I should just, grow some metaphorical balls and just interview prospective housemates myself and find them myself and not rely on you, because you've got the rest of your life with Suraj to go for. So
it still has space for you. I mean, one of the most enjoyable things that I did last week was to make that spreadsheet because I don't know, I feel it's not just the responsibility. I mean, of course, I care about you, but I want to be sure it's someone you like, someone who's nice to you, who's nice to the house. I mean, this is pretty much home now. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Can you believe we moved in after university? I mean, we gave our finals from here. Do you remember how much coffee we had?
We were like,
Oh,
getting our dissertations. We've had a lot of fun here. We have. I know. And thank you for just clearing up my messes all the time.
It didn't feel like I was clearing out your messes. It just felt like we were making this place together.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I just feel like I don't want you to be responsible for me. So like I really do feel like I need to be more brave about living in the world, you know, and being a grown up. Like maybe I should make my own spreadsheets and stuff. And
Yeah.
maybe I could like get a keychain and attach it to my waistband on an elastic thing.
I love the idea. Or you know what they do with specs? They wear specs and there's like a whole string attached.
Yeah.
Similarly, there could be specs and it could be attached to your keys, house keys. How's
Yeah.
that?
I mean, maybe we could just do that with everything. Attach I could just attach everything. Like have a belt that's like got elastic on it. Like one elastic, the blue one for keys, the green one for wallet, the red one for my glasses, so that I'm just basically like walking around attached to everything that I need.
You should give one of that place to the key to my, I don't know, Suraj and my new house. You should keep it, of course. I mean, it wouldn't feel right if you didn't have a key. Also,
Wow.
the cigarette post. Do you want to post food, lunch, cigarette, even though we didn't have much of the lunch? And change a space and talk somewhere else. I feel like this space is full of sadness now.
Oh,
Shall we go sit out and get a cigarette, a smoke, and then talk?
okay. Yeah, we can do that. And also, I want to say, is Suraj okay with that you and I, you know, like for you to give me a key to your new home and all of that? Would he be okay with that? He might feel that's a bit like codependent and odd.
No, you are my non-negotiable. I have only a couple of non-negotiables. One of them is smoking inside the house. He hasn't fully agreed to it, but he's considering. And compared to that, you are a much less toxic variable and non-negotiable that I have.
I'm so thankful. I'm so lucky to have you as my best friend. Honestly, just thank you. And at the same time, can we go outside whilst you have that cigarette?
I'm sorry about that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. And scene. Yay! That was fantastic.
I had so much fun. Oh, okay. Yeah. That was also emotional for some reason. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know, it's funny because I was trying to be such an idiot friend, and every kind of like escalation of what else can I do that's just idiotic. Every time I did something, you went, yes, and I love you, even though, you know, and yes, I will be there for you. And yes, that's okay.
But don't we have those friends? I don't know if it's quite healthy or not, because I am that friend for many people who sort of take care of me. And I have such friends whom, like, our relationship has become not to take care in the codependent way that you're referring to, but more like, you know, that has sort of become the gaps that I fill in their life. And maybe it's time to reevaluate that, but it's been going well. Like, that's what I do for them, and that's what they do for me, sort of.
So
Yeah.
sweet. That's lovely. That's great. Yeah, there was in the scene. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way I can. There's no way I can break this friendship. Like, there's nothing I could do. I mean, in the 10 minutes context, you know, there's nothing that I could do to break this friend. I was like, this girl's gonna stick with me no matter what. And I was like, okay, that's amazing.
It's so good. Yeah. It felt very it reminded me of times living with my friends and having to say goodbye. Just
Yeah. I know. I think especially like if it's like a life-changing thing like that, like if one of your friends like moves on to live with a partner and stuff like that, it's a real end of an era thing.
It reminded me, I don't know if you've watched, it reminded me of the plot, at least reminded me of Frances Ha. It's a movie sort of exactly about this. It's by Greta Gerwig is in it. So it's exactly this, like two best friends living together. And I think this. I was wondering why I made that cigarette choice, but I realized that might have been a subconscious association because yeah, there is some cigarette in the scenes there also. Or I'm just addicted. That's another possibility. That could be true. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to know like how long ago did you get into improvisation? Because I know that you do various forms of improv. So like when would you identify like the first time that you did improv?
So improv, as I know it, like in our circles, the people that we know, improv theater and improv comedy happened in 2018. So around 2.5 years. But improvisation was the first sort of theater that I was introduced to. So I went to a pretty like government school, and we had one of those curriculums where even games periods like were taken over by math and science teachers. So we did not have a drama club. We didn't have any of that. So what happened was I sort of bunked my entrance exam into engineering colleges, which was sort of a given. That's what my whole batch of 12th graders were doing. And I did not give two of the exams on purpose. So my mother was really mad at me. But what I did was parallelly I went and gave my admission form to a college which had performing arts, English, and psychology. And as part of the performing arts, one of the electives that we had to compulsorily do was playback theater. So I was around, I think, 17 or 18 when we started doing playback theater. And the thing is, I never knew it was how different it was because it was the first kind of theater I had experienced. In fact, I didn't come from a family which watched theater either. So that was my very first experience of experiencing theater or watching theater. But since then, I quite enjoy watching plays together, the stage plays, and I really enjoy what we do, what we just did. But
Yeah, yeah. What do you get out of like you personally, like what do you get? How does playback theatre feed you in comparison to how does improv comedy feed you?
So I think playback theater feeds me in confidence. Like I feel like I'm in a space where if I have, so this is the thing. I think I came to this like couple of weeks ago, which was that if I have a bad, a difficult playback theater show, I would not question or a difficult feedback from someone. I wouldn't think, my identity as a playbacker is shook, because it's not, because I know different ways of playback, and I've just done it long enough to know that, okay, so that's what I need to fix, okay, this is the change I need to bring, okay, done. I'd be quite excited, in fact, to have as harsh a feedback as I get. But with improv, I'm still in this nascent stage where I need a lot more validation. Like I need to feel like I belong. It's like the analogy is with playback. If I walk into a playbacker's room, if nobody talks to me, I would be fine. I'd be like, okay, I know why I'm here, whatever. But if I walk into a space like a room of improvisers, I would be looking. I wouldn't be the first to go on stage. After I do something, I would be looking at others to see if I belong there. So I'm still, but what it does feed me is the narrative choice, the choice to make one's own narrative, because often in playback theater, always in playback theater, it's the teller's story that is the narrative. And then we can do stuff with it. But with improv, one can make one's own narrative. So it really feeds, especially my need for fantastical elements and just absurd elements. I sometimes just like lacking out. So these are things I really enjoy, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, but you're absolutely right. Playback is the story is this, the narrative is given, like how it manifests is up to the playbackers, but the story parameters is kind of a given. Whereas actually, with improv. Comedy.
In fact, one of the training bits for playback is to, and this is super complex and interesting, because when we hear a story, a teller story, we are of course seeing it through our subjective lens, you know, like understanding it through, and this could manifest in big prejudices or big, it's not a prejudice, and by prejudice, I don't mean the negative prejudice, it can be positive prejudice, like, for example, if somebody is in a difficult time, we might want to rescue them because we want to make them feel better. But part of playback, we want to then play it back as you will be fine. But they never said they want to hear that. You know, they just want to be heard within what they have shared. So one doesn't need to re-traumatize the teller. But a big part of the training is to recognize what are my voices, like what are my needs, my biases, my opinions about the story, and what is the story itself. So in fact, it's quite it's important to recognize and play with it. One could read into a story, but adding one's own perspective, especially if there was no space for it from what we heard when we were deep listening to the story, it can get a little weird. It can distance the teller, as I've seen sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. God. What would you say is like the biggest influences the improv in any form, whether it's playback or improv comedy or whatever? Like, how has it influenced your life? Like, in terms of like, you know, because for example, I think I'm a better listener now, you know, in life, because I've, you know, been improvising for, I don't know, 13 years. So it's kind of like, oh, I can also talk a lot in life, but my quality of listening is better, and I think that's because of improv. So yeah.
I realized the same thing. I have realized that I can listen really closely, and this is a little, I don't know if it's a little problematic, but I can listen to people like I'm reading a text. You know, I was trained to read a text in like manners where you read between the lines, you understand the context. So I can now sort of listen to people in that manner, especially with playback and improv. I can really ask questions that I'm picking up from the sharing, and often I'm wrong, and then that also gives me information. If I ask you, were you feeling lonely, and you say I was not, I was like, good, so she wasn't lonely. That's also information, you know. So I'm very I think the conversations in my life have become better, and I think I have found play, like abundance in play, play and abundance in play and play in abundance, in the sense that yesterday we had a playback performance at this European playback theater gathering, and it was about childhood stories, and I revisited a memory of mine which I hadn't in a long time, which was that one of my favorite things to do when I was really young was to climb up stairs by myself after lying to everybody that I'm going to bed, in my like native grandmother's house, and I would just climb the stairs and jump down the stairs and then climb up again so that I could jump down, and I do different permutations, and I do it for hours. And this is a memory I had lost, but it gives me such a core understanding of how much I like to be myself, and maybe me being by myself is a big need for me to find the play. So yeah, and that has been a big realization with like playback theater and improv, that I'm able to get into that zone of just like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that as well. That possibility of just, yeah, let's play. Like I love that about improv. That's what it's given me. How it's fed into my life as well is like so many different ways, but that's one of them for sure. Is like, yay, but let's just play. And play is great and needed, you know, and necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because sometimes, oh, I hope nobody from my office is seeing, but so there is a certain level of like propriety, and how sometimes in corporate settings propriety is equated with sort of straight spine, less words, grunts, and not. It's almost like I'm not open to sort of showing you any part of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's for my personal life, or that's for my social life. This is my, somehow it's equated, and that gets quite difficult because I do some of like I'm in fun committee in my office, and we do a couple of games, and the difference is definitely there, but it has really helped me sort of take it back there. And I would like to believe that wherever it has helped, some of them have opened up a little more, because it's not like they don't enjoy it. Everybody enjoys play. It's just how open you are, and when was the last time you did it.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing. It's like everyone enjoys play, whether they know it or not. Like, so trying to get adults to do improv, I think, is one of the hardest things. Like, to get people through the door, get adults through the door is a hard task. But generally speaking, once adults are through the door into an improv session where they realize that it's good and necessary to play and they love playing, then that's like, I think that then the job is, then the task is, the job is easier, because the humans themselves know, they feel it. It's like, I love playing.
Then it's just like, stay away, and they're like, give me more, give me more. No, next class, stop it. It's already 4 hours of improv. Stop it.
Yes.
Emma, has there been anything that you have found that improv wasn't the best for, like, or something it has taken from you, not in a negative way necessarily, but just it hasn't been the most pleasant thing? For example, for me, sometimes I feel like I spend too much time into it, like in a way that sometimes some days I wake up feeling I'm not sure this is what I want to do, and have I just done it for so long that I don't have the space to reconsider, and family time, all of those things sort of get compromised. That is one of the things.
Are
there any such things?
Gosh, that's such a good question.
Sorry, is that you don't have to answer it always?
I think I found over the years it's given me more than it's taken from me. But I think it can be. I think one of the things is, I think there's cliques that I don't really like. So like the sense of like you either belong in a clique, in a the elite, or the trendies, or the cool, the cool improv.
Oh, how high school is that?
I know, isn't it though?
How high school related to the pop culture that I have consumed much after my high school is that.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up watching things.
And I think that's I think that's pretty much, no matter where you are, if you work in an office building, if you work in whatever your work environment is, there's always probably going to be the cool kids, the cool group, the people who hang out together group, there's always going to be like little cliques. But actually, I think that exists in the improv world as well. And I mean that massively, like
globally.
Global, and I think actually if you're on the outside of that, I think it might feel like it's a bit like you don't really belong.
You feel rejected.
And if you're on the inside of that, I think it can be like a bit sort of like egotistical.
And it's so interesting because we also are part of communities that we are constantly trying to build, like MIU and I. And something that struck me So City Lamps as a group attended before this weekend, which was European Playback Theatre Gathering. The last weekend was South Asian Playback Theatre Gathering. We have just been having back-to-back gatherings. And we attended, like around 12 of us attended as a contingency from our team. And we came so close. There are other things, of course, which bring us closer, like rehearsals and, but having that experience together as a team really brought us closer. And we were talking about things that were happening. We were just saying, oh, did you watch that? So we were seeing the same thing together. And I was really enjoying it. But there was a moment in between where I was like, oh, this is interesting because it brings us together, it builds the community, but it's also the space where sort of the bonds become so strong that there is no space for somebody else to enter, or it's the place where we can also like start talking about somebody else can bond you much faster, so it's that because it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's good that we are coming together, but at what moment does that transition happen from bonding to becoming clique?
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
It is, isn't it? And I think it's forever. It's always going to be people. We all of us have to strive to be aware of, is this a clique? Am I being exclusionary? Am I doing everything I can to include and involve? And we just basically have to check ourselves. We have to, because we do need to create bonds and trust, because we're improvising together, and that's essentially is quite a vulnerable thing to do. We're jumping into the unknown together with someone or a group of people. So we have to have that trust, but at the same time, we have to check that we're not being exclusionary. For sure. Good. It's a good. It's one of them where you just ponder, trickle.
Thought bubbles. Do you think like that? Do you think associatively, or do you think linearly? I mean, leads to another. Like word to word. Do you have a monkey brain? You know what they call a monkey brain? It just like jumps from things to things. It can get easily distracted. And then there is the brain which is sort of functional. But I guess we all have both the brains. But what are you more predisposed to? I was wondering.
My brain doesn't tend to jump from one thing to the other. It tends to associate. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it might jump through association, but it won't like random. Like if you're talking about, the sea, I'm not going to jump to something not connected to that. I'll probably jump to something connected with that.
Nice. Associative.
Yeah. How are you wired?
I found out while being with my therapist during my therapy hours that I think quite like for me, when I think, I stumble, because I feel like anything that I would say articulatedly in a language would make it too definite, because I feel like the way I think can never be captured necessarily in a couple of words, because I feel like that would concretize what I'm thinking, because what I'm thinking is often very branched and probably both sides of the things. I'm always, but what about this, about everything? So I say, like it's a beautiful sunset. Then I'd be like, what about sunsets which have been more beautiful? Then I'm like, but what about sunrises? Then what about? So I'm very, it sometimes gets really taxing.
That's so brilliant though, that you know that's how you think, and like that's the way your brain is navigating the world. I think it's lovely to be self-aware of that.
Thanks.
That's so nice. Awesome. So I want you to shout out nice and loud your beautiful teams that you play with.
Yes. So the Adamant Eves, big shout out we do jams, we have shows. Aarti is the one who does the social media for us. So you'll be reaching directly out to her, and big shout out to her for all the work that she is doing. Then Improv Comedy Bangalore, City Lambs is my playback team. Balashri is also an Adamant Eve, and I have a duo called Shadows. Another duo which is right now dormant, but something which is really close and precious to me, is called Them. THEM, with Abhishek Desai from Improv Comedy Bangalore. So yeah, that's
That's amazing. Gosh, you're busy. That's so great. Thank you so much for joining us with the old 10-minute scene. I had a really nice time and I loved our chat as well. I'm going to say goodbye to the world on the internet. So we can say, Tra world.
Bye. Thank you.